Hello there, Bick Benedict here. We're playing God of War 2018 on Give Me God of War difficulty. We're currently on part 5, and we have now entered Alfheim. So this is a section that a lot of people, when they come to it, they dislike. I can't remember. It's been several playthroughs back when I first came over here. My opinion of this chapter is basically never changed. I've never really had an aversion to this chapter. I think that it's a place that you can grow as a player, since there are many challenges to be met over here and obstacles to hurdle yourself over and to get better with the combat. Otherwise, you're going to be seeing the game over screen quite a bit. So we're dealing with dark elves, and as they have wings, they're very flighty. They're very quick enemies. They've got weapons that have a lot of reach to them. So seemingly they have a lot of things in their favor, particularly since they fight in numbers. So basically how I handle these enemies is that well, first of all, anytime you see them jump over you, all you need to do is just press the down button if you have down selected for the quick turn. If not, press whatever button you have assigned to quick turn, and they will be right behind you, the one that jumped over you. If you have high camera sensitivity, it shouldn't be an issue too much, but these enemies can be neutralized one by one, and what you want to do is isolate targets and parry their attacks, try to freeze them before they upgrade, and if you find that they're just too fast for the executioner's cleave, and they oftentimes are, you definitely want to make sure that they haven't upgraded, freeze them, and knock them into surfaces. I really don't knock them into surfaces too much. What I try to do is I try to get them into clusters and use my runic attacks, because if there's one great thing about this game is that the runic attacks are very helpful, and they don't always start out as extremely strong, but they can be made to be very strong. Also over here I had a capture fail, and I couldn't show you guys Atreus picking up that bulb over there, and I thought to myself, since this game is the way it is, capture fails, you can't really go back and recapture any of the footage you had unless you perhaps made a manual save. So wouldn't it be funny if you went through the entire game, got to the final boss, and had a final boss capture fail? You'd have to redo your goddamn guide. That's what modern games are becoming like. You really do need a chapter select in games. Anyway, once you investigate the sand bowl, you're going to find that you need to progress up here, and then you're going to get assaulted by more of these guys. They really do have a lot of nuisance-like features. One of the features that they do is that they shoot out these little light bombs, and they prevent you from attacking them in that way. So best thing to do about it is, fortunately, the detonation time is such that there's ample time to get out of the way. But one of the great things you can do is to clusterfuck enemies with runic attacks, especially runic attacks that afford you iframes, complete iframe immunity. If you look at the descriptions for these runic attacks, it'll tell you that whether or not Kratos is protected during the attack. So the Way of the White Bear is the one I've got equipped, and you get full protection from it. So you can, like I said, you can clusterfuck a lot of folks over here. and deal good damage, freeze people, and the move that I mentioned at the end of the last video is a distance move by throwing the Leviathan axe. It's one of the more interesting moves actually, because hear me out if you will. You target an enemy's weak point. Failing that, just target their head. And the moment that I also don't think it requires you to charge the axe. So once you make contact with an enemy's weak spot, provided you have this move, you'll see a flash, and if you press R1 during the flash, and it could be that R1 for me is square, but I do think that they translate it all in the menus depending on what you've got selected. So anyway, it says for me to press R1 during the flash, and then once you have received back the Leviathan axe, the next attack that you do deals a frost attack, impact attack that detonates, and it's very strong. And the attack that you do, it can be the result of a ranged attack or a melee attack. So that's what I know. And also by this time you can have let me see. You have the ability, so we've got the Leviathan axe up to level 3, guys, and I would severely caution you from buying this move that I'm going to tell you now. It's called the Leviathan's Fury, and it's a move, well, here, I'll read it off. I'll tell you exactly what it's called. It's a level 3 move. Requires axe upgrade number 3. While sprinting, press triangle to perform a massive leaping attack. Now, I'm never going to buy this move throughout the entire game, and the reason for it is because when I play this game, there are so many opportunities when I play this game that I'm running up to an enemy and starting a cleave. This move here prevents you from doing that in the way that you are normally accustomed to doing it, that is to say, without any interruptions. It's the Athena's Wrath all over again of input conflicts, to put it in a very simple way. And do you know what I mean by that? Are you familiar with using the Executioner's Cleave? Well, aren't there times, think about this, when you're running up to an enemy, stopping right in front of the enemy, and then starting up the cleave? Happens all the time, right? You always do that. Well, this move, if you have this purchased, in place of stopping and charging the triangle button to hit, what this move would do, this move called the Leviathan's Fury, Kratos would, instead of stopping in front of the enemy, Kratos would run up to the enemy approximately at the enemy's location, and he would do a leaping attack. And then only after the leaping attack was finished off, then you would be able to charge the axe. But by then, you know, it would all be over. You wouldn't want to do that anymore because things would change in battle. Things change all the time. So I'm telling you guys, stay the hell away from the Leviathan's Fury. The jumping attack with square, it doesn't have this problem. And that's, they never learn. They really do never learn, because there should be options to turn these moves on and off. Like, you should be able to get rid of some of these moves. And I understand, you know, maybe give the player the option of discarding the move, but they don't get their money back. I think that would be a good idea, you know, for $1,000 to spare yourself a lot of inconvenience and to rectify something. Definitely. So do not get the Leviathan's Fury if you are someone like I, who runs up to enemies and charges the Executioner's Cleave. It's just gonna fuck up your attempts to do that. But yeah, they never ever learn. Never learn. Anyway, we're brutalizing some people over here. Looks like we've taken damage. But we're still going to come out the victor. And I think we've got some permafrost built up. We're also going to pick up the talisman, whereby we can get some siphon some rage into our gauge, so that not only will we be able to get health when we need it, we will be able to get a little bit of rage. And they very carefully prevent you from using those in an interchangeable manner until all of the cooldown time is come and gone. But anyway, now jump back onto the boat. We're going to head on back to the sand bowl. And this video should include a boss that I kind of like, actually, because it's a fair boss. There's a lot of room. There's no lackeys, and it's like I said, it's fair. And then as we go down here to the trench area, I wanted to mention that there are pieces of equipment that you can socket into your armor that can, if you're having a hard time in Alfheim, they can give you additional defense against this enemy specifically, and you can socket up to 36% of extra defense against the Dark Elves. I toyed around with it when I went through the game initially, but since my armor only has one socket per piece of equipment, I want to make sure that that I socket something else that might give me more of an advantage in some other area aside from defense, because I feel that you know, defense is one of those things where you can completely eschew defense in a lot of ways, and what I mean by that is, oh, here's me accidentally activating rage. You've gotta love that, right? But you can altogether dispense with defense if you get wise to enemies' moves and you learn enemy patterns a little bit more. I wouldn't honestly, I wouldn't use the armor that gives you additional defense against the Black Elves. You know what I would do? I would just learn their moves a little bit more so that you can avoid getting hit by those moves that you're you know, supposedly get. And it's true, you do get more defense against it, but I would just try to learn the Dark Elves a little bit more, because we're going to be dealing with them for quite some time leading up to the boss fight. So anyway, you can if you want to, and there's no shame in doing it. But since those sockets are so rare at this point, I would put something. That actually gives you more of an advantage, as far as like a hit advantage. Is this one of the pieces here? Let's see what this is. See what it is. Oh, this is the heavy runic attack called Tyazon's Talon. I really don't care for this. I like Invaldi's Anvil much better. I am going to equip the new heavy runic just to see what's going on with it, see if I like it or not. I ended up definitely not liking it. So anyway, as you come down here, you're going to get a checkpoint, and you notice that when your HUD comes up, that means that there's a new fight abounding. So over here, it looks like we've got some more of the Dark Elves. Did I call them Black Elves a moment ago? I'm sorry about that if I did. And I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I would hope that the guy that I just wrung out was not the one who just sprang up from the chasm, but I have a suspicion that that might have been the case. So my wringing him out might not have done anything, and I don't like that at all. But they're enemies with the ability to fly, so it does make sense. But this fight over here, you know, you can see for yourself that we've got heavy Draugr to contend with, and what I would prefer to do is just focus on the elves first, because these heavy Draugrs, by their very name alone, you can kind of get the impression that you're going to be hitting them for quite a long time. So since the elves are weaker enemies in a lot of ways, we can take care of them first and then deal with the heavy Draugr. Hopefully he hasn't had a chance to upgrade. I think he came at level 2. See that shitty heavy move? I don't like it. I just don't like it at all. Anyway, so once he's finished up, we're going to get some experience, and then, oh, I really like this part. I like the whole scheme of this area. It's got really good level design, and make sure you get all of this stuff. So the first thing you want to do is freeze that, and then come over here, and you'll have to punch these. So you can't hit them with your axe, because if you use your axe, then you're not going to be able to get those. So those are the two there, and then all we need to do is smash a final urn that has the symbol that looks like N on it. So freeze that thing again, come on up here, and then smash this. There's an area over to the right that I'm going to be coming back to. I may have been able to go over there before coming over here, but you know, I hope that wasn't the case. What exactly is in here? Is this an apple? Another apple? Yeah, I've got to tell you that opening the chests in this game, it just feels much less satisfying than it used to be feeling for me personally. Also, I think this chest over here is going to have that Dark Elf protection item. So just freeze this and then come back over here. You are going to have to release the axe and have it come back to you, and then these chests, the ones that have the dead bodies in them. What is this here? A common wrist armor. Anyway, but the design over here is very clever. There's a lot of things that you can manipulate, a lot of different things to come back for. One of the things we can come back for is another one of these coffins over here. So turn the wheel here, and then freeze it in place right over here. There you go, and then let go of it by pressing circle, and then you can come over here and get this coffin. Now let's have a look-see at what exactly this is over in here. This is, yes, that looks familiar. It is a rare enchantment. It's the Fragmented Heart of Alfheim that gives you 12% protection against those Dark Elves. Now, if you feel that you do need protection from the Dark Elves, you can equip that, and as you can see there, it stacks up to 36%. So you could have quite a bit of protection against the Dark Elves, but I'm all about offense rather than defense. This checkpoint down here is really bad. You see this area? This is the checkpoint right here. And the fight that comes after it, while it isn't hard, it's kind of annoying that should you for some reason not do very well on it, you know, hell, maybe you just want to restart because you don't feel you're doing too well. Maybe you've got some footage, maybe you're a guide maker, you got some footage you don't like. You want to start over, you've got to deal with this every time, and for some reason you are not able to throw the boulders. You get as much time here to use rage attacks. In fact, that's all you can do. So they let you do the stomp, which is L1, but for some reason they don't let you use the boulders. So not sure why that's going on there, but bad checkpoint, just horrible checkpoint, you know. And I can never maybe it's not meant to be understood why you know, why a developer would put a checkpoint way back there before we got grabbed, rather than right over here, you know, because from an outsider's perspective, wouldn't you think that instead of putting the checkpoint back there, wouldn't you think that the more logical place to put the checkpoint is right over here? The moment the HUD comes up, that should be the checkpoint, right? Checkpoint right there, you know. And if it has something to do with the background processes of them and the limitations about putting the checkpoints at certain areas, I understand that, but I'm ignorant about that, and I don't know, you know, why certain things can't be, you know, the way I think they should be in games. You know, I guess checkpoints aren't as simple as, you know, as they're given to look. Now these guys over here, when they turn purple and their health bar turns purple, not only does that mean that they get you know, a level increase, that means that all of their attacks from the thenceforth are going to have that red circle on it, so you can't parry and you can't riposte their attacks. But so that is one incentive to killing them fast. I really don't know how I feel about that. Parrying their attacks when they're not leveled up is not very difficult. Its timing is a little tight, but it's not difficult. And I just don't feel an enemy should not have any moves that can't be parried. But these enemies are starting to use a spin attack that that you'll see that the boss has when we finally meet up with him. He was the one that grabbed Atreus. Remember that in that cutscene that I said you couldn't throw the rocks? He was the one who grabbed and raped Atreus and defiled our boy. I really object to Atreus mouthing off at times, you know. I really do think that he should get his ass a whooping. Kratos should fucking whip his ass. And pretty soon, guys, we're going to have a head hanging off our belt. That's so annoying. I can't tell you how annoying it is. There's also parts that on this walkthrough I've taken the audio completely off because it's just so annoying. And the turns of phrases that they use are really annoying too. Anyway, now we've got a long fight that's got a mini boss on it over here. Okay, so onwards and upwards here as we get closer to the conclusion of this video. I decided to leave the video up for grabs at the end, as far as it could have gone either way, but I wanted to make sure that we stopped at a reasonable length for this video. Now this is the final checkpoint of the video. There's going to be two dark elves down here to deal with, and then there's also going to be one up on a higher perch. So what I would recommend on these first two guys is to use your two runic attacks to launch them and get them off of this platform. The dark elves are going to be a problem once you deal some damage to the actual ancient, and I've got to say this fight is actually quite fun. And as far as many times as I diss this game and call it this or that in a game that you can't jump, it's incredibly fun. I just find that certain aspects of it are just the wrong way to go with the franchise, and just some of the things like the kid when you die saying "Father, Father, don't leave me alone here." It makes me nauseated, quite honestly, because I want to hear the dialogue, but I don't want to hear that what is to me just utter garbage. But okay, so here's the Stone Ancient. What you're going to be doing is knocking chunks of him off, because if you try to attack this guy, your weapon is going to be deflected off of him. So when he shoots his beam, he's also going to be vulnerable then. As his chunks fall off, you're going to be throwing them back at him. So you want to keep your distance from him so he doesn't do that that move where he jumps onto his on all fours and does that push-up burst attack. So it's a very simple boss. These pieces of him, they do detonate after a certain amount of time, so you can find yourself holding them and them blowing up in your hands. I've never been killed to it, but I know that it is possible since it takes away damage from you. Also, it's quite awkward if you're using the face buttons for the combat moves. It's kind of awkward to move around and manually aim the axe, but it's just one of the prices you pay for, you know, your preferred control scheme. So just keep him locked on basically, and then once he starts to shoot the beam, you can throw the axe. You can charge throw it if you want to. I don't think it makes any difference. If for some reason you can't knock the piece off with a regular axe throw, just charge your blade up, and then go ahead and pick up the piece of him that fell off, and then same type of deal. When he starts to shoot the beam again, throw the chunk off and just damage him that way. So at about this point in time, he's going to summon his lackeys. So the best thing to do when the lackeys are in the picture is to once more do what you did before. Just use the runic attacks to knock them off. What I like to do is I like to do the anvil runic attack to freeze them, and then I like to use the charge of the white bear to give myself some iframes and then to push them off. Look at Atreus. You can't say he's not at least trying to help, but at this point in time, he's going to fall down, and you're going to be able to grab him. It just depends how much health he has left. So I didn't have enough health to take him down, so we're going to have to do 1 or 2 more sessions of throwing this back. So once again, just lock on, throw the charged axe at his chest cavity area, and then you're going to see the piece of flesh fall off. If it's flesh, I'm not sure. I think it's just a rock. And then you know. When the lackeys come to, you can best be availed of not taking damage by just putting him on the other side of this column over here. And I like this fight. I like this is the kind of fight that definitely doesn't need a checkpoint. It's very fair, and the lackeys aren't too much of a problem. I mean, I wouldn't think that they would give you too many problems. That is. So there he goes. There's going to be more of them. So if you look under your goals, you'll see how many stone ancients you're tasked with killing. So now we're going to open this chest and see what we get. I think this is one of the attacks that I don't care for. Yeah, the rapidly spinning melee attack, I just don't care for it. And now let's go see what we have here as far as loot. It looks like we've got some health and some rage going for ourselves. We've got some ancient's rubble. So just, you know, pick up all of your goods. What do we have here? Oh, this is more fragmented heart of Alfheim. So if you are worried about taking damage from the dark elves, you might want to equip that. And like I said, just, you know, keep picking up your goods until everything's said and done. And once it is said and done, you're going to be going over here to this location and interacting with this, and we will be proceeding throughout the chapter, you know, going into the light of Alfheim, strutting our stuff, and again, you know, just keep on picking up your shit, and it's all going to be good in the hood for it. I hope, you know. And if it's not looking like it's going to be that way, just repose against me, and I'll help you out, because that's what this walkthrough is designed to do. It's designed to help folks get to their goal. Like I said in the video that began the whole walkthrough, I'm going to help you guys get to the finish line. So that has been video 5. I'll see you in number 6. Please take care.